Okay, so the next step is you put your arms on, as we showed you earlier. So what we did here was, we luckily have a hoist. So the frame is sitting on a hoist. We grabbed our tranny jack over here, and we were able to set the diff on the tranny jack. And then what we do is you lift the differential up in place, and of course your arms, they come down, which we were showing you here, your upper arms here, and you put your bolt through, leave everything loose again. As I was saying, this is all adjustable. Then what we're able to do is your trailing arms, the lower trailing arms that were hanging down, we brought those up and they went up in place here, and you put the bolt through there, obviously. And of course, don't forget to put your, again, I've lost it, I showed you this a minute ago, your silicone grease in there that they give you, don't forget to put that in there. Makes it slide together better, plus it's better for the bushings themselves so you don't get squeaking later on. So here's where we're at this moment, everything is kind of loose. So our next step is to put the coil spring in. I'll grab that. So on this car originally, it had, when you take your car apart, it should have rubbers that sit up on top. It just sort of, you can actually see where the coil spring is riding. It stops it from being metal on metal. So you don't get these with the kit. These are things that, they're just the original ones. I've cleaned them up. We're going to reuse them. So it just pushes up, and if you're lucky, it'll sit up in there. Your coil spring's just going to go up. Doesn't matter. There's not a top or bottom on the rear. They're both the same. There's no, actually, if you want to get fussy, we could put it so the rating Hotchkiss is showing to advertise for them. So you can put that up in there. Now you can see there's quite a bit of slot. What's going to hold it up next is you're going to mount your shock here, and your shock's going to come up and bolt up into the frame. And that's going to, obviously you're going to have to jack the rear end up, you're going to put your shock in, and that's going to hold your coil spring in there. So that's how simple actually. If you're not, there's another point I'll make here. If you've got a car like this and the coil springs are bad and you want to get them out, it's very simple. Undo your shock absorber, because obviously you'd have the car together. Put a jack underneath your differential in the center housing, jack it up, undo your shock absorber, pull your shock absorber off, slowly lower your jack down. Obviously the car itself is sitting on stands, we're assuming. The rear end is going to drop, the coil is just going to fall right out. And away you go, you put your new coil in, tighten your shock back up. That's all that really holds the shocks up in there. So this is our next step. We're waiting on a set of shocks right now to come in. Once we get the shocks, we'll show you this in place, and then we'll just continue on from there. Okay guys, so we're back here. You haven't seen it for a while. We got Jake's car in the shop now. For you're not familiar, it's a 1980 Monte Carlo, and he ordered up the Hotchkiss Suspension, the rear suspension kit. And what this does is it gives you an adjustable upper control trailing arm. It's adjustable, so you can adjust your differential, get your pinion and everything set properly, your pinion angle. So it's pretty basic how to do it. They give you good instructions here. Everything comes with instructions. It's good quality stuff. I really like this stuff. It's a good name brand. So probably most of you guys could do this, but for the novice guy, we're just going to show you a couple tips in case you can't read the greatest or can't see these pictures the greatest, because they are kind of a nuisance. So obviously the frame, we're starting with a bare frame. So this is your upper control arm one. Now what we did was it bolts through. You make sure that your grease fitting is at the top. Okay, because obviously you can't go wrong with it. Well, you could. If you put it the other way around, if you think about it, the grease fitting is going to be 180 degrees out, it's going to be in there. So obviously you put it in that way. Now, before you put that piece, slides into in your frame. Now we'll come around here. You've got your other connecting rod here that comes down. Now it is actually utilizing the bolt that holds the piece I just showed you. Now you can see the angle, how the bend is going down, okay? So the bend goes down in this piece. Like I say, this is for anyone doing Malibus or Monte Carlos. This is how it's going to go together. So you're going to put that piece here. It utilizes the same bolt that's holding your lower trailing arm on. Okay? And that bolt is actually coming through the frame. There's an access hole right here on the other side, and that bolt comes through this way. You put it in, and it utilizes that. Now, keep in mind, if you look carefully, let me grab one. You just stay there. I'll take a look. I don't smack in my head here. You can see the offset on here. So obviously this is, if this is this side we're talking again, see how the offset is deeper? It holds it out. The reason is you've got this brace right here, this factory brace. So that kind of holds it out. And of course on the bottom, it's the same thing. You got a little bit of an offset. So you bolt that piece in there now. I'm leaving everything loose. We just always mock everything up loose. Don't ever tighten anything till you actually get it bolted in. Now this arm is going to go up. Now what I was going to say here is obviously again the grease nipples will be facing down. They wouldn't be facing up. And if you notice there's two bolts here. they're not centered. And what I mean is there's a bigger gap here than here. So these bolts face towards the back because that's where your sway bar is going to mount later. So we're going to get, there's one side hanging here. So now we're going to apply, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put the other side here together right now. And then basically it's lift the differential up, and we'll get back to you when we do that. Keep in mind when you're putting this together, they do give you, let me find it, what did I do with it? I lost it. Like normal. I lose everything. I got it somewhere, guys.
There's one on the back of the car, love.
They do give you some silicone grease. So like I say, what I've been doing obviously is, you open it up, you put a little bit on here, it makes everything slide up inside together easier. And you can't really screw this up, because when you're putting this on, if you think about it, this is going to clamp down onto your diff, which is right behind us, which we'll show you in the next step. But here's that arm, it's got to go this way. Obviously if you put this arm upside down in the car, well, you're not going to go too far, are you? So that's going to go like that right there, and again, the grease nipples, there you go. And it comes with the bushings that you install in your rear diff also. Again, use a little bit of this, nice rubber mallet, tap them in, away you go. Okay, so anyway, we'll get the other side together and then we'll continue on and show you what we're doing from that point on. Okay, so where we left off here, we showed you guys we were going to put the coils in. So what we did was we dropped the frame down lower. We jacked the differential up to get everything up in place. We bolted our shocks up with the first two bolts on the top. We left the shock hang here. We didn't put it on the stud yet. We just left it hang down off the mounting bracket. The coils, like I showed you, they just push into place. We jacked this up. We put our shock on, which you can see we still have to tighten. Push the shock on the stud. We put the wheels and tires on it, drop it on the ground. Now we're going to go around and tighten everything up, but you can see the coils are now in there. And of course, don't forget, they'll be even a little tighter when you do it yourself, because we haven't got the body on the frame, so there's even less weight back here. So obviously more weight's going to push down, so these will fit in. That's why these are wiggling around a little bit. But that's pretty much basically it. So there's the Hotchkiss suspension. Now, like I say, it's all adjustable here for good pinion angle. So you can play with it there. It all depends. Pinion angle all depends on what you're running for power also. Sometimes that has a lot to do with it. You can set it up and then you just road test it and try it. And that's about the only adjustment you got is up top. And then tighten up your lock nuts up there. You got all your grease fasteners, which is nice. Everything's got grease nipples. You even come with nice little caps on the Hotchkiss suspension kit here. And that's it. And you can see that we got, on Jake's car, it's an 80 Monte Carlo like I referred to earlier. The differential was not going to be strong enough to hold up to what Jake was putting in it for power. He's putting it's a dynoed motor. He was going to go 5 1/4 horse, but now it's a 383 Striker with 460 horse it's dynoed at. So the differentials in the early Monte Carlos like this aren't very good. You'd want it, if you want a good differential in one of these cars, look for a Grand National. They got a way stronger rear end. But we couldn't find one, so what we did was we pulled this out. I gave it to my buddy Rod. That's all he does all day long, and he put an Eaton section in it. He put a whole Eaton center section in it. It's got 323 posies in it, so that way there Jake's kind of got the best of both worlds. It's not bad on the highway. It's good off the line for around town if he wants to go to the strip on a Friday night. He put 28 spline axles in it, and that's about it. So he's good to go there. And as you can also see, we put a disc brake conversion kit on the front too, or on the rear too. We got the disc brake conversion kit on there. Disc brake conversion kit was bought out of Summit Racing, and another good people to deal with is Summit Racing. So basically we've got to run the lines for that, hook them up, they go in the factory spot, and it actually utilizes the factory e-brake cables on the Monte Carlo. This kit I bought does use the e-brake cables from the factory car, or at least so it says. I haven't tried to hook them up yet, but we'll find out pretty soon here. So that's about it. Pretty basic to do the suspension in the rear. It's pretty simple on these cars, and hopefully it picked up some tip. At least if you didn't pick up a tip, at least you can see how it went together. Grease nipples facing upward, obviously. This opened end obviously has to go down onto this. It's the only way it can go, and that's about it. The only part I didn't show you here was I did not show you the rear sway bar because we're still waiting for that to come in. It hasn't come in yet. And that's pretty basic. The sway bar just bolts right to your lower trailing arm. Bolts on there and away you go. So there you go, guys. That's it. We'll see you next time.